want to talk about salt being used as a chronometer to measure the age of the Earth. Now, to start out with, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm not saying this to act like I'm superior to anyone. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in science. I have a major in biology, and I was 2 courses away from a minor in chemistry, so I took quite a bit of chemistry. I believe the 2 courses were physical chemistry and qualitative analysis, but there you have it. I mean, I should have gotten my double major, and I didn't. Basically, I ran out of money. I was working to pay for my college, and there you have it. But I basically have a BS in science. And what I don't like is I don't like the fact what science has become is basically a complete fraud. Now, one of the things that scientists told us in the 1700s was that God wasn't real because they did a study where they checked how much salt was going into the ocean, and they found out that if the ocean was freshwater when it first started, it would have taken millions of years for the ocean to become salty. And they calculated, around 70 million years would be the age of the Earth using salt as a chronometer. Now, scientists later on said that that wasn't true and that the Earth is actually billions of years old. But they kept changing the date around. But here's the thing. It's not creationists that said the Earth is 70 million years old because they believe that the Earth is only a few thousand years old and that God created the ocean salty from day one. It's not them. The idea of the ocean being freshwater and turning salty over millions of years is an idea that came from scientists. It did not come from creationists. However, creationists now throw that right in the face of scientists and said, no. If science is going to say that the ocean is steadily getting saltier, and it is, how do you account for the Earth being billions of years old? It's absolutely absurd. And you need to come up with a mechanism. Okay, so we have mechanisms by which salt gets into the ocean. Mostly that would be by river water. Okay, we also have mechanisms by which salt is transferred from the ocean back on land. For example, there's salt spray. Now, you know that you can't grow vegetables right next to the ocean because the salt spray will kill the vegetables. You also know that salt spray will affect, cars and electronic equipment if you live right next to the ocean because the salt is in the air. Okay, so salt spray is real, and it does send tons of salt from the ocean to land. Also, you have things like the tsunami which hit Japan back in the year 2011, and that tsunami transferred tons of salt to land. In fact, some land where they used to grow rice, you can't grow rice anymore. But in the matter of a few years, that salt has gone right back to the ocean again because salt is very soluble in water. So the problem is as follows. How do you account for tons and tons of salt being deposited in the ocean every year and the ocean steadily getting saltier? How do you account for that? Now, what scientists used to say in the 1700s, 1800s, even in the 1900s, there was an article by Becker in 1910, and he talks about, how the Earth could only be 50 to 70 million years old using the salt clock. Now, how do you account for the Earth being billions of years old? The salt level of the ocean would be like 70 times what it is now. It's completely ridiculous. Well, the thing is, it is ridiculous because evolution is a complete fraud. And when something's a fraud, all you do is you constantly lie. So what scientists did was they said that that in fact the ocean was at equilibrium and that the ocean was not becoming saltier. The salt level in the ocean is exactly the same as it was millions of years ago. But there's a problem with that. The problem with that is they measured it, and guess what? the salt level is going up. So what did scientists do? Because they're liars and they're constantly changing their story, what they say, oh yeah, well the level of salt is going up because of global warming. Okay, global warming. Let me see. If global warming was real, every year my heating bill would go down and my air conditioner bill would go up. I haven't noticed that. In fact, global warming is another fraud by science. Just one more of many. So what exactly is going on? Well, the level of salt is going up. And let's face it, global warming would have the opposite effect, because according to scientists, global warming is causing the ice caps to melt. Now, if the ice caps are melting, that means lots of fresh water is going into the ocean. The salt level would actually go down instead of up. But when you're a scientist, what you do is you lie constantly and you call people names. And you're constantly giggling and making fun of people. And that's what you do. And then later on they go, oh, I didn't say that, I said something else. Okay. So what exactly did they say? Well, let's cover that in part 2.